Okay, I was wondering whether I should, stand or sit down. I don't know. I feel like sitting down is more comfortable. It feels like, we're talking one-on-one or something. I mean, who gives a fuck? Anyway, today on Very Geek, we're going to talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but full spoilers. So, I just came back from sawing it. A couple hours ago, again. And I figured it's, past the weekend, it's past opening weekend, which it only made about $35-40 million. Sounds like a lot, but it actually, it overperformed but underperformed at the same time. So I feel like you guys should go out and watch it. It's 100% one of the best films of the year. So I highly recommend it. And if you haven't watched my normal review, it's spoiler free, then skip out the video and then just go watch that and then come back if you want. So right off the bat, let's just start off with the story itself. Now, the story centers around Miles, and the reason it centers around Miles rather than Peter is because in this dimension, right off the bat, you notice that there's a Spider-Man, but he's only been Spider-Man for about 10 years. Everything's going good, but he ends up dying when he's trying to stop the collider from colliding all the dimensions, and he was fighting Green Goblin, the Prowler, and then ultimately who ended up killing him was the Kingpin at the end, landing the final blow. And Miles witnessed it, and he was around during that whole time. So that kind of sets Miles' journey off. That's what begins his journey, is Peter's death in this world, making this world a Spider-Man-less world. Now during this quest, you do meet some of his family members, like his Uncle Aaron, which plays a huge part in the story, which I'll get to in a bit. You got his father, obviously Jefferson Davis. Then you got his mom. I don't even think remember they like named her in the movie. It's just mommy, but because she's Puerto Rican. And honestly, the Uncle Aaron character is really cool because he's just like he's a chill kind of, he's the antithesis of his father, which is very strict and controlling or whatever. But his father does it out of love, but his uncle is really cool and caring and whatever. But it turns out that he ends up becoming one of Miles' like big antagonists called the Prowler, but he's not aware of that. So Miles gets bit by a spider, he gets his spider powers. Figuring out his powers is really cool, really funny. He sticks his hand on Gwanda, or Gwen at the time, on her hair, which gave her that cool punk kind of haircut later on. But the story progresses. When he goes to visit Peter at his grave, he gets confronted by an alternate dimension, which is our main dimension, Peter Parker. And he basically is the Sam Raimi almost. He basically is a Sam Raimi Spider-Man, because both of them have references to, like, they even have the dance number from Spider-Man 3. They have the train, like him pulling the train scene. They have a whole bunch of references to the Sam Raimi trilogy, which I really appreciate. It's a lot of love. And honestly, the one that confronts Miles in the graveyard is kind of like our world Spider-Man, because the dimension he comes from, nothing is like backwards. Like, it's Coca-Cola rather than like cola soda or whatever that's called in Miles, or and also Miles' universe is called PDNY rather than NYPD. So, and he confronts Miles. Miles does like a weird shock thing that later we call the Venom Strike, and he knocks Peter out for a bit. So a hilarious sequence ensues, and then we get finally the meeting of both Peter and Miles. Now again, this Peter is different because he's from an alternate dimension. This Peter's been Spider-Man for 22 years rather than 10. He's older because of the rust spots in his life. Like, he got divorced from MJ, which was really like kind of heart-wrenching to see, because you always see that relationship as so pure. And he broke up with her, divorced, because she wanted kids, and he was like scared. So he's like, he has a gut, he's older, he has like a 5 o'clock shadow, like he's a mess, but he's still Spider-Man at heart, which is, I think, like a good character arc for his character in general. So basically the rest of the story is kind of Miles trying to learn how to be Spider-Man, and the overall message that Peter gives him is that it's just a leap of faith. Like, it's something it's something you just have to have faith in, because if you don't know, Spider-Man basically relies on his like senses. The spider senses basically is the most overpowered thing, because he just knows when things are coming, where things are at, so he kind of uses that to his advantage. So he's trying to teach Miles that, like, don't rely on like sight and stuff like that kind of like deal. So it's pretty cool. Now on the way, you do get to meet like the antagonist, like Doc Ock, which is female Lynn Octavius. So she's pretty cool. At first, she's kind of like zany and weird, but we didn't know who she was until Peter asked her. So that's pretty cool. I believe, I don't know, I'm not sure if Green Goblin died after the Collider exploded with Spider-Man, so he probably did, because all we saw left of him was just like his hand. So, I don't know. But the main villain, which you can argue is just Kingpin, or Kingpin and Octavius, because Kingpin's main motive is that one time Spider-Man was fighting him at his home, and his wife and son came in while they were fighting, and he didn't know how to explain it. And it basically led to them like fleeing the house, and they ended up getting in a car accident where a truck sideswiped them and ended up killing both of them. So obviously Kingpin blames that on Spider-Man. So his motive is just that he wants to collide the universes to bring them back to him. So it's a simple yet quick scene that gives us who he is and like what he wants to do. It's not overly complicated. It doesn't have to be for a villain. So I thought it was really well done, and I think he was a great addition, and he was fleshed out well. An important cameo that happened as well that is just, it was heart-wrenching, but it was like, it had so much heart to it, was the Stan Lee cameo with him going like, anyone can wear the mask. That was his message. They always tout this, anyone can be Spider-Man, anyone can be Spider-Man, and I never really felt that, but watching Stan Lee say it, and like he was like, oh, he even mentioned like him and Spider-Man were friends, and like, it was such an emotional but yet powerful scene. Easily shot up in one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos. It's such an amazing little cameo, and it's funny too. Like, it can be a Stan Lee cameo of having some humor. Go watch the movie just for that, to have some more Stan Lee. And then just to wrap up the story, so Spider-Man and Peter, or Miles and Peter rather, end up meeting Gwen after they escaped Alchemax from stealing the computer from Doc Ock, and to make another goober, as they call it, like another hacking device or whatever, and to make something to counteract the Collider and destroy it. So the thing with the Collider though is that in order to return everyone else, to their own dimension, someone has to stay behind. So it was a turmoil between all of them to see who would, stay behind. Obviously, the other ones being Spider-Man Noir, like Nicolas Cage, Penny Parker, and then you have Spider-Ham. So all great characters too. Like I said, they didn't overly explain each of them. The way they explain stuff is like, they go, okay, let's bring him back from the top, and they have like the same intro, like Spider-Man jumping off the top, but for each of them it's like a different setting, different story, blah blah blah. And Spider-Man Noir is by far one of my favorites. He's hilarious. He's like the depressed Spider-Man. Like one of the jokes he says is he's like, oh yeah, I light a match and watch it burn to my fingertips just to feel something, I don't know. Like, it's so hilarious. He just steals the show from like some of the humor scenes with him, and especially Rubik's Cube. Look out for that. That's such a funny joke with him too. And basically the way it ends up is that Miles finally finds his ground, finally gets the courage, and he takes that leap of faith that Peter was talking about. And he, jumped on that amazing scene from the first trailer ever where he jumps off the building and he's like the upside down shot. We see that shot, it's that full scene playing out, and it's such a breathtaking moment. The movie's just gorgeous, the soundtrack is just gorgeous. Again, I'm just gonna reiterate how amazing this picture is. Go out and watch it. What else? Oh, the Easter eggs, there's a whole bunch. Yeah, Steve Ditko is in Miles' dad's contact list. You see S. Ditko. There's a whole bunch of when you go into Peter's lair, there's a whole bunch of alternate spider suits that are there. You have the electro-proof suit, you have the spider armor suit from Tony, you have the big time suit, you have the spider armor Mark II, I believe. You have so many. And what I love is that they show so much love to the Spider-Man game outfit. It's in Spider-Man's suit room pretty much. It's one with the white spider and everything. And even in the end credits, it's there a lot. They showed a lot of love to that Spider-Man suit, and I really appreciated that, because both of them have kind of the same thing of Miles and Peter relationship in both. So I think that was a really nice touch for them. I almost forgot to mention the greatest probably end credits scene in Marvel history for a long ass time. It's Spider-Man 2099 at the end, he jumps to the original quote unquote time of Earth 67 or whatever, Dimension 67, and he jumps into the 1967 cartoon by Hanna-Barbera, and he does the whole pointing meme with the original Spider-Man from there, and it's just like them going back and forth about pointing is rude, and it's just like a hilarious end credit scene that you guys have to stick around for to watch. I can't believe I almost forgot this. Anything else? I don't think I can remember anything else off the top of my head when it comes to like the rest of the spoilers. They ended up obviously they end up winning. Miles stays behind because it's his dimension. He sends them all off in a very powerful and fantastic and bombastic, loud, visually stunning final battle against, you know, all the villains like Scorpion, Doc Ock, Kingpin, and, you know, and Hammerhead. Like, it was such an amazing final fight. Peter gets sent off back to his dimension. He looks like he's gonna reconcile with MJ after the divorce. So honestly, that's it. That about wraps it up. Miles is his own Spider-Man now. Miles is the Spider-Man in this world. So whether or not we get more movies with him, we'll wait and see. But that's gonna do it for me for my spoiler like review / talk of this movie. I can't get enough of this movie, honestly. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below if you're new here. And all my social media links will be down below as well. And let me know what you guys thought below. Did you like enjoy the movie? Did you love the movie? Do you think it's overhyped? What do you think? Let me know. Let's talk about it. And as always, guys, take care. Bye, guys.